All right, everybody, we're with Town Manager Andy Hyatt, and we're actually going to get a tour of the town's property and some of Andy's ideas and vision for the future, what to do with the property, to share with the community and see what the town council thinks. And you kind of got a fresh start on things, Andy. You come in with brand new ideas.
Absolutely. You come in, and I get to take a different look at it, right? Come and see, what's worked in other towns and other places. You don't always come into a town, as unfortunate as it is with the post-hurricane and the way things are so damaged and in disarray, if you will. If you just take a look at the town hall here that's going down. I mean, that's progress. That's a big first step. And Ed and I were just discussing how this is probably going to be about a 4-day process of getting this down, and then the first part of next week they'll start taking all the debris off and separating, getting that removed. What we have here, we're sitting on the property that's the fire department's property. It's where the old, I believe, Tops grocery used to be.
Yep.
So this is where the trailers were set up for the town hall, and we've been operating here probably sometimes since maybe March. I'm not sure exactly the date, but I know that we will be removing these from this property at some point, and probably sometime in September or October. These will be going. We are getting trailers. We're trying to set up a trailer park, if you will, that's going to be more conducive to government environment and more user-friendly for our residents. And we'll be over there in a minute where we're going to be setting that, because we're going to get off of this property just because we've got to decide how we're going to develop this property, or the fire department. There's some discussion about a land swap, and so that will be continued to be discussed with elected officials as we go forward.
And just to touch on that real quick, because it's been something that came up at the last few fire department, fire district meetings. The town hall property is the property that the town is considering swapping with this property, and it's almost got the same value because there's more land in the back that the town bought. So if it could be an even swap, it would work out, because you're connected here to Bay Oaks.
Correct. This fits better with what we need, and that would be the same thing that they have. I know that there's some different water access back there should they decide to do something with that property, and of course that'll be what they decide. But this just is just connected right next door to our Bay Oaks Park, so it really would work out really well to have this property right there. And it should, and you're right, the land value is about the same.
And so folks know, this is the town hall that the government has been working out of. I mean, when you look at the size of that building to how they're trying to operate out of one trailer, a couple of trailers, but really this is the Welcome to Fort Myers Beach government trailer. It's been kind of a project. It's not easy.
It's not. It's everybody, we've had to share offices, we've had to share spaces. There's not that we need private areas, but even when you have some conferences and meetings with people, you have to be, you're really just in the middle of staff and just talking about things that potentially, may or may not happen. You get people who come in, developers, they want to talk about their project. They don't want to talk about it, widely. They just want to get some information before they get going, and we haven't had too many of those conversations, but I'm sure as it goes forward, and we're going to set up a process. We're going to set up a location that's going to be a little more user-friendly. We were able to design at really no extra charge how we want to set up the offices and how we want to do that, have some cubicles, and just kind of get more creative. And actually, it's really kind of going to be something that we're going to be in probably 3 years, I would imagine, and that's probably a conservative estimate. And we want to make sure that we've just got a good environment for not only our employees, but our residents when they come into town hall, and have a really positive experience.
All right, let's take a walk over to...
Just go back by some of these.
All right,
maybe we go around here when a resident comes in, and of course, we kind of redid the parking lot this past week, because we were moving out. We were parking some employees over there. We needed to get them out, so we had to reconfigure the parking lot to make sure that we had enough people that were here and not there, or their cars were out of control, or we had these vehicles were parked out on the edge of the street. We wanted to get them a little more control.
So Andy, did these survive the storm, or are these new?
These, as far as I know, we got a couple of new ones, but most of them survived.
Okay.
So that's a positive. So as you come in, residents will come in. There's permitting, there's public works and utilities, and then it's like administrative building, which is finance, and that's where some of the other employees that work with Tidal Basin, they're headquartered in there. I'm not sure if these buildings run locked. I didn't bring my key, but that's what you see here. And so what we're going to do, and we'll try to visualize it, because we'll walk over to the park, that we'll set up something similar to this, but it'll be everything will be self-contained in one, and then as you come out, there'll be a catwalk that you walk to all these buildings because of ADA accessibility. We want to make sure we'll take out the ramps and most of the steps, and it'll just be more conducive to an environment that's more friendly.
These were the benches at Times Square?
That is correct, and we still have people that are wanting to donate and reaching out to our program in honor of a couple of people who were lost in the hurricane, and so we still have some of that going.
All right.
I think we can get around this way, I hope.
So we're basically at the back of the Tops building for folks that have been around a long time. This would be the back end of the supermarket next to Town Hall. And the town owns that property over there. They purchased it a couple of years ago for about $1 million.
Yep, and it goes back
to the water.
The trailer, and it kind of goes back over to that side as well. So it's back, over, and kind of a L-shaped over there. It's kind of a unique piece of property.
Have you heard anything about the church and what they're doing?
No, not at all, actually.
Okay.
That was...
Got to find out about that.
Yeah, interesting that actually they have a building. We can't get out here. We can, but I don't know if we can squeeze through.
You gonna hop the fence?
We can either that or walk around, right? I need to bring keys. Everything's closed. I guess we can
You're in
walk
charge,
around.
man. How come you don't have a key?
I know, right? I asked the other day, I said, yesterday I said, you were coming, and I said, I need to get a key to, what if it's closed there? And they're like, oh yeah, well you got a key to, there's a lockbox. So, and here's the code to the lockbox. So I went and looked for the lockbox. Well, the lockbox is inside, but I knew Base would be here working, so we were able to get in, and I knew I could get in that building. I do have a key to that one. Maybe
you have a key to your own office?
Maybe they just don't want me everywhere.
It's 90 days before you get a key to your own office.
Right. You got to pass your probationary period. I guess we can kind of tiptoe through it. I don't know if it's very deep, or you want to just drive over?
Nah, we can walk.
Okay.
Yeah. I got around the edge here. You got
this way?
Yeah. Take another look at Town Hall.
Which this is all cleared out yesterday.
I'm gonna walk right through it.
Oh, you went that edge. Well, that wasn't very deep then, was it?
Nah. All right. So how you liking things so far?
Really well. It's sometimes you go to a small town and you just have small town issues, and it's just business as usual every day. You do the same thing, but this is really something different almost every day.
Yeah.
It's people, their permits, and obviously I'm trying to focus on that. We'll talk a little more about that later today.
Yep.
But coming up with a plan, and it's hard to believe that it's only been what 13 plus weeks. Maybe this might have been the 14th week. And, and good or bad, it seems like it's a little longer. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just there's been a lot happening, and yeah. So this, as you can see at this piece of property,
it's huge.
It's a big piece of land.
Yeah.
So it's, I guess these were little shops or something out here before. I'm not sure what was here. Doctor's office, somebody said?
I don't even remember. It's been so long since it's hard to, even when you come down all the time, with everything gone now, it's hard to kind of get situated about where things used to be.
And people will say, well, you know where the old so-and-so was? I'm like, no. They said, well, you go down, and then and you can hardly read these if you're going too fast.
Right.
So we're working to try to get that resolved, obviously. I think we can go this way. Should be able to.
Yep. Morning.
I mean, these are nice. Some of these survived, and I'm sure this is kind of what you're looking at for some of the rebuilds. And,
yeah, when you build to code
yeah,
like this, I mean.
That is true. That's a good point. They've been working on some of these and getting them landscaped and ready to go.
All right, so we're coming up on the pool.
Yes, so we don't think we have a lot to do with the pool. And when I say that, as far as repairs and things, as of now, It's just that the people that do pools right now are so swamped,
Yeah.
and then it's hard. We make calls. I remember we made some calls in June. And they said, "Yeah, well, we'll be there in September." And so you get on the list. We've got some people local, somebody that works. I think I want to say he's on Cab, but I'm not sure if that's it or not. But
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He works
yeah.
with the pool.
He's
that's
like
business.
a professional swim instructor or something.
Something
Yeah,
like that, yes.
Yep.
So we're kind of working with that. So here's the
Here comes the master plan idea.
yeah, here's the latest, greatest things that are happening. This is the Little League field, the smaller of the diamonds in the baseball field. So what we're doing, and they've kind of already started a little bit, Scott's and Major League Baseball have given us a $50,000 grant to come in and redo this field and bring it up to wonderful standards. So we're going to be putting in irrigation, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the about 4 to 6 inches of dirt.
Okay.
And this is being done for free. It's being donated. So they'll take this off, and this is the machine here. It's kind of like a milling machine, like they do on asphalt, to take the top layers off, and then they'll go through and they'll take all the what we'll call contaminated dirt off. It has anything from the hurricane.
And for folks, remember how high the debris piles were on these fields. It was when we came down here, you look at it and thought, man, they're never going to be able to get rid of that. And
correct.
To think that there's going to be a baseball diamond there again.
Very soon too,
yeah.
as well. And so we'll see that. We'll have fencing. We'll be doing new lighting and things like that. And hopefully new dugouts and a press box to really bring this up to, world class. It's going to be really a real positive.
To have the kids playing it would just be such a huge party that first game that
yes,
when you have
Absolutely.
the Little League. You rally a community around sports like that with the kids.
It's all about that. And you're right. Every community you go to, that seems to be the focal point for the majority of residents is the athletics, the children's athletics, the outdoor activities.
Now, are these buildings totally useless? They have to come down?
Yeah, pretty much so. It's just at this point, after they've sat there, this bathroom might be okay, but we probably will end up incorporating new bathrooms, new press box, new concession stand, possibly with dugouts to make it just a nice, first-class facility to help with healing the community.
Yeah,
it'll really be a nice touch.
Now, the rules back here, do you have to build higher, or is it far enough away where you could actually?
Yeah, we will, but as long as it won't be occupied. So a concession stand, we can't have like kitchen stuff. We can't have like a stove or a gas stove or electrical. But we can have sodas and things like that. So over here, if you look where these vehicles are, it's hard to see the whole property, but we'll go back here. But right here where we're looking now is where we are going to be putting our new town hall. And I say that tongue in cheek. It's not the ultimate new town hall, but this is going to be the temporary town hall. This is where the new trailers will be. And this will be one side. The front, we have plenty of parking over here. It's just going to be more conducive to what we need to do, and depending on what happens with the property that we're on after a discussion with the fire department, if the swap and the change of the ownership of those properties, then we can start planning over there, and it'll be a clean slate. We won't have to put trailers there, pay once to put them there. Okay, now what are we going to do? And then we can't do anything to that until those get off. This way, we can hopefully work on some things simultaneously, even on that property. Whether it's workforce housing or whether it's a potential expansion of a pool, maybe an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Again, just some ideas I'm floating around to the elected body just to see what sticks. I mean, we want to make sure the community gets what they want, and I know there's terms Build Back Better, there's terms, things like that floating around in national politics, but we want to make things better for the community and just make it help us forget and get over the memory of the hurricane.
One of your goals with these trailers here would be to make it easier and more friendly for the residents to meet up with the staff.
Absolutely. That's the one thing, that's the thing that I've really demanded when we started designing this, was to to create an environment when you, especially when you come right into the first trailer. We don't send you to 2 more trailers to go pay your utility bill, or to pay a parking fine, or to whatever it may be. You can do all that right when you walk in. You've got little offices and little cubicles, everybody right there that can just respond to anything that needs to be done. And if they can't handle it at that point, then they will go further out. But we're pretty sure that we want to make sure that we have a customer focus. I know there's Edward J. Edwards Demings, when he's father of total quality management, and back after World War II, he wanted to help the U.S., but he went to help Japan. And that's how Japan started getting into total quality management. One thing he said, he wanted to take people from customer satisfaction to customer delight. So that's kind of how we want it. I want them to have the best experience they can with the government that they ever possibly think they could have. It's the government. I get that. Most people are, not anti-government. I don't want to deal with the red tape, bureaucracy. We want to break those barriers down, because it's the old, the old Mayberry, hopefully that it's just, customer friendly, neighbor friendly, and we just do the right things by the community.
One of the things that was going on before you got here and before the storm was that the town was getting ready to build a brand new Bay Oaks building.
Yes.
And obviously that ended with the storm. Where do you see a new building being built, and what do you see in it?
Well, that's something else we've been talking about. Again, I've been here about 13, maybe, I think this starts the 14th week. So if you see down there, that's kind of part of the school where you see the cars, but kind of right in front of this truck, right to the left of where those cars are moving, in that area is where the Bay Oaks Community Center was going to be, and we had 100% drawings pre-Ian. Now that we're post-Ian, and now that we have to build another town hall, we're for obvious reasons we can't stay in trailers forever. So we're going to look at possibly building one building, maximizing our dollars, because even though we borrowed money for that, there's other things we found out we can use it for, and the gymnasium is part of that. What we're doing is to bring, even though it wasn't in the original scope, we've been allowed to use that for some of these other things that we're going to do. We've gotten permission from the bank and got the blessing there. But as far as building 2 buildings, it makes more economic sense and more financial sense, and being a good steward of the taxpayers' money, to build one facility. We have to build it 12, 13, 15 feet above the ground. But what we want to do is also make it to where it's hardened, where it's a haven for people to go. And if and we pray we don't get in another situation like we got a place for people to come. And this is really going to be hurricane proof to a degree. I guess everything can be destroyed that man makes. I get that, but we're dealing with some architects now, getting some just ideas to float before the elected body, and it could be possibly that we build something that could be rated up to 200 miles per hour winds, and it would be here, potentially build a new gymnasium, turn this into a public works facility, and some
that's
other
Bay Oaks.
and
that's
the
Bay Oaks now,
Gymnasium,
which is still closed.
Correct. It's closed. We've got the fencing, the construction fencing up. We're ready to go to get that rehabbed.
And that needs to be redone. It's in coordination with
Correct.
the school.
And it's in coordination with the agreement, the memorandum of understanding we signed with the school board to get this open, so we can have after-school programs and expand, and they can use this for other things if they have to, because they have torn down the majority of their schools.
So if you have one building that houses the town hall and the gym and it's built over there, which would be closer to the school, then the kids would go there then.
Correct.
Okay. And so the original plan had the back of the building opening up into another field, or
That's
like
correct.
a stage.
Yes.
So what's your vision of that?
So the other big ball field was right here behind me. Here behind Ed is where the Little League field is. This was the bigger field. In the new plans, it is put back there, so it'll be back there. This building would be in front of it, would open up to an amphitheater, so we could have events and big programs and things like that in the town, concerts, whatever we chose to do, outdoor entertainment of all kinds, movies in the park, and just have a lot of things that we make this the focal point of the town. That everything that happens on a municipal location. You have a municipal building that houses everything and potential. You got recreation, you got senior services, you have the town hall, have our meetings, we have everything. Also with these trailers, just it made me think, we are planning to move our meetings back here. The meetings that maybe aren't, huge crowds anticipated, they'll be back here. In one of the trailers will be conducive enough for.
You mean like the town hall meeting, council meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It'll be
gotcha.
conducive for council meetings.
When do you think that switch will be made from there to here?
That hopefully, I imagine sometime in October we'll have the switch done, and that's the plan. We just because of some design issues with the company doing the trailers, it kind of got delayed a little bit.
So you mentioned workforce housing, and
Yes.
obviously that's a huge topic on the
Correct.
beach, and it's hard to get anybody to actually say it can be done. But you think it can be done?
I think if that's the will of the council and the will of the community, it can be done. And the reason why it can be done is because if property that is off the tax rolls,
Yeah.
typically that would be a location that could be done.
Tell people where you're talking about so they get a picture of it.
That is the current property where Town Hall sits. The
Tops property.
The Tops property owned by the fire department. There's part of the HUD money that was given to Lee County. The $1.1 billion, that part of that was to go to low to moderate income housing, but there's also some unmet needs money that possibly could be used, and we could work in conjunction maybe with Sanibel Housing Authority, to manage it. Again, everything's open for discussion. Everything's open for discussion.
And it's so close to the hotels.
Correct, and it's really centrally located.
You could take the tram, you could take the
stop
bus.
right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
So
when it stops in front right now.
When are you going to pitch that idea?
Well, I've kind of been talking a little bit behind the scenes a little bit, because you want to get a pulse and the feel of the elected body first, and if you don't think it'll fly through there, but I think they're
Sure.
open to everything. I think they're really,
Yeah.
Again, we've got, I've talked to a lot of my professional friends, in the industry and city and town management. This is not the normal town manager's job. This is not a normal town,
Sure.
and that's not because of the people or the location. It's because of the condition we find ourselves in. It has just created a different dynamic, an opportunity, if you will, for the town to hit a reset button. Unfortunately, it's what we've been handed, and you play with the hand you've been dealt. And so we're going to make the most of it and try to maximize our dollars. Again, that's why I see a good way to maximize dollars is to build one building, not to build two. Hurricane, harden this building. Make sure that we don't have those issues, that people have places. The gymnasium withstood, but there was also 15 feet of water in there.
Uh-huh.
This would be raised up 12 to 15 feet, so the water, hopefully, wouldn't get into that. But we would probably put a parking garage, so the actual people, the occupied space would be almost probably 22 feet above.
Sure. So the Little League field, I mean, like we were talking before about the importance of sports in a community. Scott's and the Major League Baseball will be here in a few months or a few weeks, and so they'll redo that, which is awesome. We got a grant for that, and there might be an opportunity to volunteers to help if you need them build a dugout or something.
Absolutely.
So that might be something we talk about
Yeah,
in the next few weeks.
I think we should, and keep this in front and keep it alive, because we see this. This is not conducive to what I see as, and I've talked to some people who work with the Little League, and we're kind of working with them. But we've got really, if we just everybody just look and see what's the best for everybody. And I realize that as we all have our different opinions, and that's good, and that's what makes America great, and that's what makes the engine move. A little friction keeps things moving. It really helps, and so what we want to do is just keep as much information out there so people are educated on what we're doing. They understand. I'm really a different kind of manager. I'm really not what you might think is a typical town manager. I'm approachable. I want to make sure people are successful in my organization. If people ask, why did that person, do this? And I'm like, well, ultimately it's all my responsibility. So,
Okay.
And I want to give the praise where the praise goes, and the credit and all that to the employees and who deserves that. But we just have such a unique opportunity here, and people are hurting. I get that, and we want to make sure that everything we do, from permitting to recreation, is done for the public, for our residents, for our citizens, and just make it to where it's just world class. And I talk about changing our government. I talk to our staff about changing our government and raising the bar and being the benchmark for communities on the coast in the state of Florida. How resilient we are, how we bounce back, and how we established our government. We have a great opportunity here. I'm also working, and you know, on your show a little later this morning, we'll talk a little bit more about, you know, what I'm thinking about with our permitting, how we're going to kind of expand and work on that a little bit. That seems to be, this is great, and this is the brick and mortar, but it's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that just doesn't get seen. So, you know, town hall comes down, wow, big step, big step. And then as you see some of that, and 2 other buildings just to the north of us have come down in recent days and cleaned those properties up. So we're starting to see, I think once people see properties cleaned up, that's some, okay, look at that. So now something else kicks in, and there's some processes that people have to go through. It's just the way it is. But excited about this opportunity.
This is going to be great.
You know,
great ideas. Great ideas.
I think it's going to be well received. I really do. We're going to work with volunteer groups and try to come up with grants for new playground equipment and state-of-the-art lights and scoreboards, and you know, just make the kids feel like, you know, today you got to entertain kids, and we need to get them off their phones and off their game boards. I have three kids.
Oh,
we can talk about that later. We won't
All right, Andy, thanks so much for giving me the tour.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.